You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
Welcome everybody to We Have Issues, Geek Elite Media show that's about everything literary. Books, comic books, webcomics, manga, and everything else you might be reading. We're here to talk about them. As always, I am your host, Keith, and I'm joined by my stalwart sidekick, who's always at my side, Josue.
Hey, and I never kept track before, but I think 25 might be like the new highest number I've read for an episode.
Yeah, this is definitely the largest collection of comics I've ever purchased in 1 week.
25. I got 26, and also and variants included, but I should have read 26, but I actually got to 25, and I think that might have been a new high, figuratively and literally.
Yeah, I didn't bother you on Tuesday there. I was just like, oh, he's busy, I'm sure. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. As always, we're going to go ahead and talk about all the new comics that are coming out. And we're ready to go ahead and get into that. But first, do we have any news, Josue? Anything you can think of off the top of your head?
As I've told you, my mom came up visiting, so I was really trying to be off the grid as much as I could. So I've no news that worth sharing.
Yeah, I can't think of anything comic-wise that's really big things that have been announced. I know we have the Hellfire Gala coming up. We were talking about that.
As of recording, we're just 3 hours away from figuring out the finale to Fucky and Balkan.
Fucky and Balkan. Hell yeah.
This is pre-finale to that amazing show of us.
Yeah. Have you been keeping up with Invincible as well?
No, actually.
It's so good.
Okay.
It's exactly the comic.
Oh, nice.
Like,
cool.
It's the closest adaptation I've ever seen, really.
Oh, nice.
And we're 4 or 5 episodes in, and they just did Did you read Invincible at all? I can't remember.
No, so I'm kind of like not super just in a rush to watch it.
There's an arc where they go to a college, like college day, senior day. You know, you go check out a college.
Nice.
And that's the arc they were just in, and that's the one arc I remember every single moment that happened from the comic.
Nice.
So I was really excited. Awesome. So, yeah. All right. Well, then we're going to go straight into our comics, guys. As always, we start not with a bang, but a boom.
Boom.
And this week we have a stack of boom books. I'm going to go ahead and pull these out. Now, we actually share almost all these books.
Yeah.
But we each have one individual. Mine is Firefly Brand New Verse number 2. So once again, this is the continuing Firefly story set several years in the future, and kind of going back and having a little bit of an homage to it all. So written by Josh Lee Gordon, illustrated by Fabiano Mascalo, colored by Lucia Di Giammarino, and lettered by Jim Campbell. So long story short, and I'm not going to give away all the details because I know how browncoats are. They want to experience it themselves. I'm one. And long story short, Zoe and her daughter and the new crew, they need a doctor for somebody. And they're like, well, we know the best doctor in the system. And we also get a little bit of time with the antagonist, by the way, but I won't touch much into that. But they're like, well, we know the best doctor in the system. So they fly to a farming planet. And who is sitting outside working, Josue, but Simon Tam.
Oh, what?
He's a farmer now. No longer a doctor.
Yeah.
And they're like talking and everything. And then 2 kids come running out of the garage.
Oh.
And they're like, Mama exploded the compression basket. And it said, no, it was the fuel projector. She exploded the fuel projector. And then out comes Kaylee.
Oh.
They got married, made babies. Everything is okay. And this book series has already justified its own existence by doing that. So, but it's really fun. I mean, unlike the other Firefly comics, which are good, I've really liked most of them. Mm-hmm. This one really is a look back at the show and just kind of like you don't really need to know the other Firefly comics as much, basically. If you jump straight from the show and the movie to this comic series, you wouldn't miss anything. And it would be really good place for fans of the show and the movie to start the comic book story. So really liking it. It's really cool. So really enjoying that. Josue, tell me about Jim Henson's Storytellers Tricksters #2.
So this one's also another really good one. Yeah, Jim Henson's Storyteller Tricksters #2. Story by Jordan Ifueko, art by Aaron Kubo, and lettering by Jim Campbell. An amazing cover by Peach Momoko. A really, really cool one. It's like an interconnecting one with like this fan, but it's like the hat to the trickster dude. Yeah. But then there's her. Man. And again, it's another story that just tugs at the heartstrings. This chapter is called A Heart That Beats Forever. And in this case, the storyteller actually takes a break on telling a story. There's a visitor, and it's a black woman stops by, and even she has like this one saying that goes, because she's like, you shouldn't have scolded him. After all, I am a stranger. Because like the dog was just like barking away as like at a stranger, and people are seldom as they come. It's like, oh shit, that's my favorite saying. And like, oh fuck, here the dog's like, here he goes again. So he's about to tell a story when she's like, no, let me tell a story here. And it becomes a great story of like how this girl was able to trick the trickster god, and in this case, I don't know what religion like all these mythos like really come from, but there's a trickster god called Eshu, and he's basically one that would always just do the opposite of whatever you would ask of him. Like all he'd ever be asked of is just like hey, like take care of my enemies and I'll bless you with all their heads. And basically he would just do the other shit and just betray them instead and aid the other side. But in this case, this one time, he just saw a woman just praying to him, and he's like, all right, what do you want? And he thought it was going to be something super vain, like for the love of somebody. And it kind of was, only it was because like this like sultan, this like would-be king had a line of women, but she knew that there was going to be this other one that was going to be getting all the attention. She was always just going to be in second. So she wanted to be number one. And Eshu did his Eshu thing and just made her instead, because of the thing in these mythos is that all these gods tend to claim people. You'll get like almost like not a brand, but a really pretty symbol on you. And you're like, oh, you should be devoted to that god instead. So Eshu grants this, like the woman that was praying to him, his symbol, his Eshu symbol. So now, and the thing about his symbol, it was just like, it's more, people just see it as a curse. Like her dad wasn't going to like sell her off anyway, like anymore. Cause that symbol just brings about bad stuff because this god is the trickster god. So, that's where the kicker is. She ended up tricking him in the end, because she was actually the number one girl for the main sultan, and all she wanted to do was be devoted to this god instead. And it just becomes like this, like almost like this twisted love tale, but it's really good. And all that whole time you kind of touching back. It is like the first time you actually kind of really do touch back for more than just like a panel or two to the storyteller, if you will. And that whole time, the lady's just like slowly aging throughout the process, and you kind of figure out that maybe this is her. And it's just really fantastic. I loved. I just jumped into this series because it's like one of the best anthology stories that are out there, especially for comics. And I'll just forever recommend the storyteller. It's just really cool.
Nice. Eshu is Nigerian, by the way.
Nigerian, cool. Yeah, it would be. It is very African in nature. So I just didn't want to get it wrong. Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I looked it up while you were talking. I didn't know off the top of my head. So nice, awesome. Okay, we got some other boom books to talk about. Let's talk about Luna #3.
Let's.
Drawn, written, everything by Maria Lovett. So. Our plucky hero is getting caught up in this this cult, and this is a trip, guys. I don't know how to explain it. It's really good. Josue, I'm assuming you absolutely loved this book.
Yeah, I really did actually.
I
So
really liked it, but I was like, holy crap, Josue's got to be loving this shit right now. So
I'm not ready to call it a vampire tale, but in essence, like this whole issue is an explosion of an ecstasy of tripping out and tripping out balls in pure ecstasy. It's really cool, but yeah, to have sex that good and go somewhere else to another plane and have a conversation with the whole other being, damn, I want to have that.
yeah, and it's I mean, obviously, we're finding about more and more of this stuff of what's going on.
Yeah,
You know, and I'm kind of like, this is very interesting, and I don't know. It's really cool though. I'm really, really, really enjoying it. So
visually, it's super dope because it's just like such an opposite to Arrows and Psyche, you know?
yeah, actually, that's a really good point.
Like you would think like it's like it's the same creator, so they'll have like a similar take, and Arrow Psyche is just so, I don't want to say plain because I'm pretty sure it's very much on purpose. But then you just see like all the imagination on each panel and how explosive like they can be, and it's just like damn, like just like the range for Maria, it's just awesome. It's just such an opposite book. Yeah,
it's really good. If you guys like a psychedelic story, psychedelic sexual story, yeah, I was gonna point that page out to you too.
I want these lips tattooed on me with the O.
But yeah, it's just awesome. Like it's really cool. It's a trip. That takes us to our next book, Spectre Inspectors number 3.
Yes.
Continuing, what an abrupt shift, by the way. Created and written by Bowen McCurdy and Caitlin Musto, art by Bowen McCurdy, letters by Jim Campbell. So this is the most ages haunting story that Boom's been putting out about the 4 young people who are ghost hunters. This episode was really cool. One thing I liked is it's almost a sitcom trope where you put the 2 characters that don't interact together and like separate them from everybody else. And the story literally does that with the 2 sets of characters that never interact, you know? So they break them up and you get to see them like interact and spend time together. And that was really cool. And I really like the whole, like, they're both exploring this haunted building, but from different angles.
Yeah,
like,
when they're walking over each other and under each other.
Yeah,
because,
yeah,
like,
that's
that,
really
they
cool.
had like that gravity shift. Yeah, that was cool.
And I like that the possessed girl can see the house as it was.
That was such a great bit.
Yeah, that was a really cool choice. So the 2 of them get to like, you know, like what matches. That's going to be the obvious stuff to look into. And I thought that was a really cool logic jump. Like I really liked that. So, and then we get to see the cult come in, which was really interesting. And they ran away. We're going to get some answers, I think, soon. I'm really enjoying this quite a bit.
Soon, because at the end, I mean, I like, like you said, I like how they did like the whole team swap. I love that when it was the girl that's running, like the Spectre Inspectors and the guy, and they had like their moment. I loved that it didn't get into like any kind of romancy shit, or it was just like, or at one point,
because she's with the other girl,
right? It's like, I know that you're gay, but at one point I liked you, because they even had,
oh god, that would have been awful.
Setting, they almost had like the setting, and like they weren't really leaning into it. They weren't even, like, I love that, just avoided that. I love that his dialogue was just like, dude, I love being like your guys' friends. I knew that you guys would always protect, or that you would always protect us. Yeah, and then they'll go over on the other side with Gus and the possessed girl, just like, why do you do that to her? Just like, oh, that's just me flirting.
Yeah. All right, that takes us to our last Boom book, The Many Deaths of Layla Starr, number 1. Yes. Josue, let me see your cover.
Oh, I got this one, and I got the super dope David Mack cover. Yes.
I also got the David Mack holographic cover, so.
It's like, I was like, how could I not?
I know, it's like, we don't see holographic covers anymore, so. Not often enough. Written by Ram V, illustrated by Felipe Andrade, with coloring by Inez Amaro and lettering by And World. So this is a new series.
So good.
And it's super unique, guys. Basically, the main character of our series is Death. but done in a not in a way that anyone ever really has done a comic book about it, about death. You know what I mean? So death basically gets fired by a god because there's a child that's born that's gonna basically invent immortality, so we don't need death anymore, and death is outraged by this. Death is then given a retirement package, which is literally to be sent to Earth and live as a mortal. And she's very much not happy about that. And her idea is she's going to kill this child that's going to give everybody immortality. That way she has a purpose again. And what follows is a really cool story. Now, we should point out, I believe, this does take place in Mumbai.
Mm-hmm.
So it does take place in India. And it's just really cool, and I really like it. I like all the characters. I love Death so much already.
In its own way, it's like it's a funny book.
Yeah. And then she like one of the people she runs into is the god of life, and that's is it her ex or something? I think they made a point of that. But yeah, it's just really cool. And basically, Death can't die. She keeps coming back, and that's really interesting because, like, is it because she was a god, or is it her mission to kill the kid, or something like that? And throughout the book, she does get a chance to put off to get rid of the child, but can't quite make herself do it. So I'm curious to see where this goes, because that would have been a conflict I would expect to last for at least the first arc, Yeah. But it's like that's done in the first issue, so I'm curious to see where it goes. What did you think?
Well, by the end, I mean, it was just such an interesting, such an original take, or it is an original book. That then by the end of it, you see like, oh, in its own way, is like what it would be like to, if I had a chance to kill baby Hitler in her own twisted way, I'm gonna keep doing it. And I just love that it's Death who just can't get life right, and they're just gonna keep dying over and over. I just think that's so funny. But yeah, because then we have like that time skip, and it's like, maybe I got another crack at it. So yeah, I'm really liking this book.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm really digging it. So can't wait to pick up more of it. All right, so that brings us to our next publisher, a publisher that I've only brought up once before on this show, which is Black Mask.
Ooh.
I'm really excited that Josue has jumped on board with this book with me, because I definitely need him for this one. Alice in Leatherland.
Oh, yes.
Created by Yolanda Zeffardino and Alicia Romboli, written and illustrated by them respectively. So this is about a young woman who is obsessed with sweets and writes children's stories. And her artist and her are having a conversation. Basically, our artist is saying, well, I'm moving to San Francisco and I want you to come with me. And the girl's like, I don't, I'm going to stay. I have a girlfriend here. Everything is fine. And then we get a very heartbreaking scene where she finds out what her girlfriend really thinks about her. It's brutal. I already love this main character. I fucking love her so much. So basically, in the end, she decides to move to San Francisco with the artist. Well, the artist already has like living arrangements, so she's got to find a place to live. And anyone who's ever moved to a large city like that knows it's ridiculous. And she's looking. She finally finds a place, and it's literally says looking for a roommate, private room in a 3-bedroom house, utilities included. And she's like, and she's like, fuck yeah. And she immediately pays for 3 months in advance. She gets there. And, okay, so Josue, please tell me, please give me your side of this, because I'm afraid to even describe what's happening. I love it, by the way. I should make that clear. I love this. So.
Somebody who didn't have permission to open the door opens the door. So
in leather with a luchador mask on.
Yeah. So because they didn't have permission, they get stomped to the ground and they get told to be put down. And then the actual person that lives there answers the door and says, and is one of the most charming individuals to ever grace these pages. It is a sex positive house, and such a fucking fun one at that. Especially the that comes out of the fucking bathroom. Anyway, so she ends up going around and meeting the roommates, and it is a culture shock, especially if you're not ready for it. If you haven't been adverse in it, it's gonna be a culture shock to just saying yes to living in this living situation. And boy, man, is she just like, I feel she's gonna warm up to it. Like I said, it's more of a culture shock at first, especially when like the whole house is in on it. But it's just like, you can't just really catch up everybody on it, especially just not like that. But before that, man, I fucking loved that this whole story was good. Like this constant just left turn, or this left turn at the end was just like, wow, holy shit, and I can't wait for more. But then like such an honest story again, like to tell in the beginning, especially goddamn it with like the artist friend, where it's just like, she's definitely into her, but
she's so into her. I think that's where.
But she doesn't want to be like the rebound, like right then and there. But at the very least, she got to help her out, which is good. Yeah. But oh my god, I'm gonna love the shit out of this book.
I also wanted to call your attention to an ad near the back of the book to see if you saw it for Maria Lovett's "Loud."
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah, we might have to pick that up. So, but yeah, overall, I really, really enjoyed Alice in Leadland. I'm really liking what Black Mask is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really cool. So I'm very curious to see where they go from here. So, yeah. Next up, we're going to switch over to Oni Press.
Nice.
And I have a quick Oni book that I want to talk about. It's a number 2. It's Jana and the Impossible Monsters. Or the Unpossible Monsters, I should say. Written by Chris and Laura Samney. Art by Chris Samney. Colors by Matt Wilson. Letters by Crank. So this is the story, mostly told through pictures in the last issue, about a young girl who lost her little sister and suddenly got a hint that her little sister might be out living amongst these monsters. So she goes out to go find her. In this issue, she actually finds her little sister, and her little sister is basically feral at this point and doesn't want to go with her. And so this whole issue is she's coming to grips with the fact that she's got to try to convince her sister to come with her. And it's a very lush and beautiful book. The colors really match the world really well. It's just gorgeous. It's a slow burn, and it's going to be a slow burn. That's just how it is. But I dig it. So, like, here's the first shot you see of the little sister. Oh, she's all gollumed out with a dead fish in her mouth and stuff. Like, yeah. So, I'm really, really enjoying this. This is a great book for kids so far. I reserve the right to retract that if they murder somebody bloodily. But yeah, a really good book for kids. And I'm very excited to see where it goes. See how far it goes. I'm getting major Bone vibes. Which I try to stay away from comparing things to Bone.
Yeah,
but I that's the best comparison, especially with the art.
It's such a standard, but yeah, I see.
Yeah. So, all right, and that takes us on to Mad Cave Studios. Josue, tell us about Pantomime. Is this the final issue?
That's why I can and I can't tell you much about Pantomime because yes, it is very much the last issue, the final issue, the finale to Pantomime. Give it up to writer Christopher Sabella, artist David Stoll. Colors is Deborah Kelly and Justin Birch as the letterer. Yeah, everything unfolds in this one. Everything really just like comes together, and all the betrayals and all the twists and double turns and double twists and double agents reveal themselves. And oh boy, it's just like, it was satisfying. It was really good, especially when it's like one of the fucking punk dudes was just like becoming too much of a punk asshole. So I'm glad that at the very end, like, the main character was able to cut that dude out of her life. Because he was just he just became one of the worst characters ever. But yeah, in the end, it was a good ending for everybody. But then I don't want to say it was a good ending in the end for everybody. It ended on such such a dark note, where it was just like we were just enabling the good guy in the end to get away with their own selfish reasons anyway. Because God, it's like to just when you find out that the main character, like the character you ended up like liking, or the one that got us out in the end anyway, was just lying in her own way the whole time. So it was just like, and it sounds like she was lying about everything. It's like she wasn't lying about her feelings, but in the end, it was just like it really was. Well, like what else was she really lying about? Where you just get these little revelations where like these things that she said in previous issues to where she didn't get tested on, but her reply just wasn't the same way, and you're just like, wait, what? And they give you one more of like, remember this time, and then into another issue, and you're like, oh fuck, she was just lying out of her ass too. So it was just like, was it all just for her own sake, and not so much to just make you think that maybe like the guy who was just like ragging on was right, like that did still deserve what he got, but it was just like, how much more did she lie to just get her own way to cut him off? And then did he really deserve that much of a punishment? It was just, I ended up thinking too much on it. It was just so fucked up, but it was so good. Definitely like look out for Pantomime from Mad Cave Studios. It was really fun, especially if you like heisty stuff. And it was like, and again, like the whole time, like the dialogue is said through hand motions because like they are speaking in ASL, which is actually a really cool take on dialogue in comics.
Nice. All right, moving on to another publisher. We're quick firing publishers at this point. This is IDW. I have one book. The comic Voyage to the Stars, based on the podcast, took like a 4 or 5 month break between issues 3 and 4. I thought it was over, and then issue 4 came out, which is actually the end. So the stories by Ryan Koppel and James Asmus, arts by Connie Dedone, colors by Reggie Graham, and lettering by Justin Birch from AndWorld. So first of all, I got this cover, which is a Peach Momoko cover, which I would never expect her to do a Voyage to the Stars cover, so that was fucking great. This wraps up the story, and it definitely sets up the next season of the podcast. To explain any more to you would be very difficult without explaining the entire podcast to you. But I absolutely love it. It's really, really good. Check out the podcast if you guys want like a good comedy, like radio play type thing. It's a really good one to do that with. So, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. I hope we get to see it more in comic form later on. So, that is it for IDW. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to Dark Horse Comics. I have one book that I want to talk about, and that is Lady Baltimore, The Witch Queens, #2. You guys probably remember me reviewing the first one. Stories by Mike Mignola and Christopher Golden. Art by Bridget Connell, colors by Michelle Madsen, and lettering by Clem Robbins. So we have the basically this witch hunter who teams up with a witch to hunt all these witches, basically. And this one got a lot more action based and also a bit more gory, which I thought would suit Josue pretty well. So someone tries to rescue the witch that they took captured. And that's the whole thing, is holding off someone trying to get the witch. There's some really cool character designs that I thought you would really, really, really enjoy. Yeah. I'm trying to find a good shot of one of them. This witch has like a rack of antlers that are like a circle around her head, like a halo. And she's put candles all around the halo.
Oh, that's a great design.
Yeah, it's straight up Mike Mignola, right? Like that's some shit he would come up with. So it's probably the artist, though, knowing me. But yeah, and so they're basically trying to free this witch, so they need her for something. We don't know what the point of it is. And we get this more grounded in World War II as well. We find out these evil witches are actually helping Germany in World War II, so that grounds it, which is another pretty Mike Mignola thing to do. So, but yeah, it's really, really cool. I'm really enjoying it. It's the second issue though, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But definitely, if you're into Mike Mignola stuff, you're going to enjoy this. Is what I'll say. So that takes us to a brand new publisher for this show. Josue, tell me about You Promise Me Darkness #1 from Behemoth Comics.
Behemoth, yeah. Well, isn't he? This is from the same people who made the adaptation to A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. And
Maybe.
it only had 2 issues. I thought it was gonna go for longer, or at least like tell a little bit more, but it really just ended at 2 issues because then it came out with the trade, but it was just still those 2 issues. But anyway, so I've been on the lookout still on Behemoth because I did like the adaptation, and I did like their paper like material, especially for a girl walks home alone at night. This one is not the same kind of paper, but it's still in black and white. It's still a very much black and white book. But anyway, You Promised Me Darkness by Damien Connolly and Annabella Mazzaferri. And I'm gonna just like be kind of quick on this one because it's a lot of exposition, and I'm gonna need the second book, reread this one with the second issue, to kind of put more of it together. All I could really like mention about it is like, so I thought this book was gonna come out last week with the other book, the what was it, Colin Bunn book that came out last week?
The what?
What was the Colin Bunn book? The one about the ghosts?
Phantom on the Scan.
That's right, Phantom on the Scan. And because when I saw that last week's list, I saw that one, and I saw this one was supposed to come out last week. But I guess it was just wrong because it was this week. So I was looking out for both of them because they just kind of seem kind of similar. They're all about the comet, right? This one's actually the one about Halley's Comet and triggering certain powers. And it gives you that a little bit of that history on how like maybe every time it comes around, and because of technology and people are not being aware of when to actually look up or be there for it, that's why there weren't as many eventful things to happen in previous Halley's Comets as they were. It's like in the 1980s or 86 is like when there's a date that it came out for like the last time since like the news was breaking out to watch out for it. But all those times before that, it was just like these weird occurrences on like certain people having these like auras or curses. They even so much so as to try to paint it that maybe Jesus Christ was maybe one of them instead of just being this other being. It was just like he just had powers because of Halley's Comet. But anyway, it gives you a little history on like the people who were affected by it. Someone went to hiding because, of course, scientists were going to get very curious and start poking and prodding around. There's a weird shot. There's like a cool shot where like maybe someone were like the Watchmen in their own way. They do call themselves as the children of the comet, and it's supposed to be a derogatory term, but they're like, but we were proud of it, so they became the Comet Society. But then as years went on, some of those people started having kids, and I think as I understand it, as it comes back around, as they're kind of set into like the present, the main character, like we're also set in this like Mike Mignola-esque campy way. Our narrator is like this over 100-year-old alien looking ape sapien, and there's like a dude who's just like floating, just like who's just like smart in his own way, and they're going after the main character on the cover, and he has his whole own thing with this other woman, Lydia, and again she has her own powers, but again there's just like so much dumped in this book, and I'm just like, I just need more of it, because then again, the whole second half becomes like a clusterfuck with zombies and shit like that. So I need a little bit more explained to see like what's really going on here. But it's a very interesting start. You Promised Me Darkness. Kind of definitely look out for it. Oops.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, we are going to go ahead and move on and talk about Aftershock.
Yes.
We got 2 books from Aftershock. Josue, why don't you tell me first about Knock 'em Dead 5? This is the stand-up comedian book, right? Where he's possessed?
Yes.
Awesome. I've been excited for your summary of this.
And also another finale. I was like, I think they might have started around the same time too. This one and Pantomime. I might have picked it up around the same time.
I think it was, yeah.
Because I was juggling. I was like, oh shit, Mad Cave and Aftershock are kind of putting out some good stuff at the same time. So these were like, yeah, I think they're about the same time. So it was only nice for them to end at the same time. And if you want to look at the inside page, I know, right? So yeah, Knock 'em Dead number 5, The Closer, by Elliot Rahal. Artist is Mattia Monaco, and Matt Mill is the colorist. So. Remember last time where we left off? It was he finally took it the last ghost, and at the last second, because he was gonna have his 5 minutes on like that Conan show, only at the last second, like basically Conan died. Well, yeah, never mind. I won't go that dark. But basically, that happens, and so instead, he takes over that whole episode, and that's where we left off.
Right.
The first words he reads are 15 years later.
Oh man.
And let me just paint the setting before I tell you exactly what happened. 15 years later, and kids are around a ball pit, and they're around a person. They're like, "Excuse me, sir, are you Mr. Hamburger? Can I take a selfie?" And that's when he wakes up, and it is our main character. Only he's just like really, really fat, and he's like in the kid's ball pit, and because he got spooked awake. And again, like in the kid's ball pit, he starts blasting away his gun into the air. Not a kid's, like nobody dies, but again,
Jesus.
He's not okay. So he's in jail, not prison yet, but he's in jail, and of course, this is not looking good because one, he's recognized, and his sister comes to visit him, and after he's able to get out, and he says, "Fuck it, I'm gonna have a one-on-one. I'm gonna have a call a press conference, if you will." He's gonna have an interview, an all-exclusive interview on what exactly happened. And apparently, after all those times ago, he was, when he took over that Conan show, it was like the second most rated like show that night, and he became an innocent hit, and he just like took over that life, and he became very, very successful. And every single time, it was just like, what the hell is going on? I mean, like at least like, how is this working, or like what path was he taking to trigger this? Because he wasn't we know that he wasn't a good stand-up. How was he just like triggering this by being possessed? And he's not really saying all of that part. He's just like kind of really giving this like half-assed apology. It's like it's he's saying his side and kind of explaining what happened with his sister, and also filling us in at the details with at the same time. But it's just not really being all honest. Because like if this whole thing was supposed to be honest, the question finally comes up. Well, then what did happen with Harvey Anderson? At this point, this is stuff that we don't know, and something really, really fucking dark happened. Then in this time skip that we don't know, in this boat, and this dude just died, and him and his sister were the only ones there to really witness it. And he just kind of he half-assed blamed it on, well, there was drugs and alcohol. And the reason why we didn't call the cops right then and there is because we were trying to get rid of that evidence. So it was still kind of bullshit. And at the end, he just like kind of calls off the interview, and it's just not okay. There's still something that he doesn't know. And then later on, he just calls up his sister again. They became estranged this whole time. He calls up his sister one more time, and he wants to get one more like the answers from him, because he's like, I guess he's finally ready to ask what did happen that night. He was just gonna be in denial after that night. His career just like took more off, and you find out that it was the sister the whole time. You find out that the sister was the one that kind of kept almost like possessing him for their lives, because she was his manager, so that their lives can keep thriving. And that night, Pryor, our main character, he just gets too wasted, and he ends up passing out. And you see the conversation play out of Harvey and talking with the sister, and he's like, "Yo, I just landed the deal of fucking lifetime. I basically got the Disney deal, you know." And guess what the character's called? Mr. Hamburger. And then she fucking kills him so that she can get him to possess the brother. And then, of course, that's what the career took off. And so it becomes a whole thing of honesty, and shit happens that it shouldn't, but I'll just say this one does end on a good note. I read Pantomime and this one back to back, and where Pantomime just left me just like with that good dark feeling, that good dark ending. This one was for sure the more of the dark book throughout the series, but with the actual happy ending. I was actually very pleased with this one. It was really good. Despite all the dark shit that happened.
Nice. All right, and then we have another Aftershock book.
Yes.
The Bequest, number 2. I can't remember. Did you pick up issue 1 when I did?
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is written by Tim Seeley, drawn by Freddie E. Williams II, colorist Jeremy Colwell, lettering by Marshall Dillon. This one is the one that kind of half takes place in the fantasy world and half in our modern world in Chicago. and we get to kind of get a more character development, a little bit of character time with each person, which I really enjoyed actually. Seeing everybody like going off and doing their thing right at the beginning. So we get to find out a bit more about them. Like one of them goes to go listen to someone sing, and like I'm trying to remember. I'm turning back to one. Oh, the magic guy goes to like a carnival and is doing magic tricks, but like the kind of magic tricks we would actually be used to. And he's like, and he's really like, oh, does she actually like this? You know, like this is weird. The halfling goes to a strip club and everybody thinks they're a child. It's just great. But it's really cool, and we're setting up a really cool storyline. I think we got a good idea of like kind of the arc and like what the conflict is going to be. And I'm just really enjoying it. And it's very much a Freddie Williams, art. Like if you're familiar with his art and like it, this is very much more of the same. So
yeah, this issue was hilarious, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's very funny. The one dude walking around naked, like with just a bathrobe on and his sword. That's it. That's just ridiculous. So no, I really enjoy it, and I love the concept, the modern, like it's almost kind of like the Dark Tower,
Mm-hmm.
So I really, really enjoyed that. But yeah, this is cool. It's a lot of fun. It's very Tim Seeley as well,
Oh, very.
So that helps because we love Tim. So yep, I really, really enjoyed that. Anything else you want to add about it?
No, I mean it was just an actual like funny book. I mean the whole interaction with when was it Warlock when he just shows up like super drunk, like saying in the robe and just the sword just like blocking his dick, and it's just like the whole interaction was just super funny, and then just like getting into action, it's just like, oh fuck yeah, and they're not just like the Stooges that just came over, but they can actually kick ass afterwards. It's really cool.
Yeah, really liking it. That brings us to our next publisher, which is a big one. That is Image Comic Books. We have a stack of Image this week. We will start with the ones we don't share. So story time. Keith went and picked up his books and was pulling things off the wall. And he grabbed this next book, excited to read number 3, and didn't realize he grabbed a reprint of issue number 2.
Oh.
Why those are on the new release wall everywhere, I don't know. So Keith got a really cool cover for Radiant Black 2.
Well, that is
but didn't read it. Josue, tell me as much as you can without spoiling for me what happened to Radiant Black 2.
I do want to tell you all about it, but honestly, this was as I was starting to read it and as I was like going through the issue, this ended up being the one issue all week I wanted you to read. I wanted your take on the most, dude. Because yeah, the superhero stuff is he really just does one superhero stuff, and it's not even fighting any sort of villain or adversary. It's just like it becomes really more like the Spider-Man story, saving like the any other person, But the reason why I wanted you to fucking read it was because the whole first half really dives into his actual persona. You know how that he's a writer. The whole time is him trying to crack his writer's block and him trying to get through the story. So it's like, damn, I want to know Keith's take on this, or is like the story he's writing interesting, or like the way he starts breaking down on like, okay, what story am I trying to tell? Like he starts breaking down his own character for their novel, and I want to see how your writing process goes, or was it similar to how he does it, or when he hits that mental block, and it's like, damn it, Keith, why didn't you get number 3?
Yeah, I'll get it, and then we could talk about it.
Yeah, cool.
So. All right, but overall, did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, especially because it was just different. Like we're so curious about like what this power means, or who the guy in the red suit is. But this whole issue just takes a whole step back and just like really becomes more about the character development, and just like we really kind of get into his head, and it's actually really cool.
I've started referring to the bad guy in Radiant Black as Radiant Black because he's red.
Actually, that's genius. Radiant Black. I love it.
So quick creative team for it. Written by Kyle Higgins, drawn by Marcelo Costa, lettered by Becca Carey. So yeah, I will get it. We'll talk about it, I promise. So next up, something that I did not pick up the first time, but I went back and picked up so we can talk about it. And I did not know that these books were so goddamn big. So, Ultra Mega.
Ultra Mega. Oh, damn, variant too.
Oh, did I get a variant?
The other one. Sorry, no,
This is one. Yeah,
okay,
1 and 2. Because I didn't read 1, remember?
Yeah.
So, but our good friend Steven was telling me how much he enjoys it, and he will be on the show next issue of this to talk about it with us.
Oh, I can't wait.
So I'm excited about that. So, quickly, creative team. Created, drawn, and written by James Herron. Color by Dave Stewart. And letter by Russ Wooton. So... it's really gory. like you know me, I'm not a gore person.
Oh, the first one is nonstop for sure.
There was at one point a river of blood that drowned a bunch of people, and I was kind of like, "Holy shit!" Now, the gore was a bit much for me, but I'm not the target audience for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, I will mention it is very unique and cool to see a kaiju story where there's actual blood and guts and there's actual violence, and it's not a giant robot and a giant monster punching each other and no one actually getting hurt, kind of like Power Rangers, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's actually gory and really horrible and stuff. So it's pretty grim too, and that's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I'll say that I really enjoy, I love the world that they're painting, as far as, because there's a time skip after issue 1.
Yeah.
I love the world that they have after the time skip, and I'm really curious to see where that goes. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm most excited about. And I like the characters in the future. Like, the characters to start with, I was kind of like, these are cool, I guess. You know, this is interesting, but I never thought, like, oh, I need to know. But then once we got to that second issue, I was like, oh, these are going to be the characters. I actually really like this. This is cool.
No, oh, damn, am I that cool? I really liked that the first issue was just, it was very grim, very dark, brutal, because I like that we started at a finale of something, and like our main characters that we actually care about are in issue 2, and even still, it just doesn't stop, especially kind of where we start getting to like the cliffhanger, like the shit that happens when you get like, oh, we have an ally, and like, oh man, no, everybody out here is looking for number 1, and this sucks.
Yeah. And I will say the monster designs are pretty great.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Just the design in general, to be honest, everything in it, like costume design, everything was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep getting it. It is a bit violent for me.
Yeah.
So, but I still enjoy it. The river of blood was a lot. So I was kind of like, when they said like it would like dry up, and I was like, I don't need to know that. Like, I was like, that's really gross.
Depending on how this sounds afterwards, but it seems like because at the end of the second issue it says, since our first arc is only 4 extra-sized issues, we want to start with then after. So if there's a 5th issue, maybe they won't be as big and won't be as bloody or grim as long.
Oh no, they can't go back on bloody and grim. I mean, that's why people read it. You know what I mean?
I'm saying the length of it, because like the first 4 are just going to be those are going to be oversized ones. Yeah,
I was looking at it and I'm like, am I gonna have to get Golden Age comic, bags to fit these? Like, because the Golden Age bags are bigger. So
I think the first one like barely was like such like a snug like slide down.
At least you don't need a board for it. Like, it's stiff enough; it won't need a board. Probably.
That's true. I should probably try without a board.
Yeah, the Robin. I think it was the Robin 80th anniversary one. That's kind of like that thick.
Oh yeah.
I didn't need a board for it. It's perfect. So, next up. Under Image, I'm going to talk about a book that Josue picked up, but he alluded to was not able to read.
Oh yeah.
The Old Guard: Tales Through Time.
Cool.
2 stories. It's going to be an anthology series. And yes, this is based on the original run of the Old Guard comic. And also, you've probably seen the movie on Netflix. And if you haven't, go fucking watch it, because it's great. So, but it's 2 stories. My Mother's Axe, which was written by Greg Rucka and art by Leandro Fernandez, and Zanzibar and Other Harbors, written by Andrew Wheeler and art by Jacopo Camagni. Colors by Daniel Miwa, and Jody Wynn does the lettering. So as I said, there's 2 stories here. The first one, My Mother's Axe, I loved them both, actually. I really loved it. And if you like the characters from the movie and the original comic, you'll really enjoy this.
Yeah, I was trying to sneak in the movie before I read this one again, but I didn't have time.
You really don't need to know much.
I just want to watch it again.
Yeah. So it starts with the main character, Charlize Theron's character.
Yeah.
and the new recruit, and they're sparring, and the girl's using this axe. That's really cool. It's like got this unique like head on it and stuff, and so you can kind of see it right here, like the way it looks and stuff.
Oh, like the one she was kind of like the one that Charlize was kind of rocking.
Yeah, it's the one from the movie, but basically there's a point behind it. She basically tells her, "This is my mother's axe from when I was a child, thousands of years ago." And then the girl's like, she's like, Blake basically says something like, "This can't be the same axe." She's like, "No, this is the only axe I've ever had." And she talks about how like, no, look, there's like temper steel and spot welded that didn't exist back then. And then you find out that her mother made her an axe back in the day. Looks like that.
Oh.
And basically throughout the years, it's kind of the Ship of Theseus thing, actually. It's pretty funny.
Oh, shut up.
Where it's basically like, well, the head broke, so I replaced the head. And then the wood shaft rotted, so I, replaced the shaft. Yeah. And basically, in the end, the girl's like, so nothing of the original axe is left. She's like, no, but it's still my mother's axe. It's so badass, dude. Like, I'm just like, The second story is about the two gay characters from the book who we absolutely love. Yeah. And it's about the two of them going to a club during World War II. And a German guy taking offense to the fact that first of all, that one of them is a man of color. And secondly, that they are gay. And he attacks them and also tries to kill a girl. And I'm not going to tell you the end of it, but it's really good. It's about them and their relationship and stuff. So I think it's going to be a fun series. But we get to see these characters through time, and do different things, and it's so cool. Like, it's just great. It's really good. I'm excited. I'm going to make Liz read it because she loved the movie. So.
Oh, nice, cool.
Yep. Finally, last Image book, and I saved it for last because we have to. Stray Dogs number 3. God,
can we not?
you bastards! Written by Tony, please. Drawn by Trish Forstner, colored by Brad Simpson, layouts by Tone Rodriguez, and flatter by Lauren Perry.
I don't want to talk about this book.
Okay, I'll run through it very quickly. Also, I got the Annabelle cover, by the way.
Oh, I did too. And then I regret it. It's like, why am I doing this to myself?
So for those who don't remember, this is the book that was described as Don Bluth meets Seven. And basically it's or maybe the Bone Whisperer. Anyways, or the Bone Collector. There we go. Bone Whisperer. Oh, God. What's wrong with you, Keith? Okay, anyways. So we have this guy who we never really see, and he has taken in all these dogs. And we slowly find out that these dogs belong to women that he has killed. And so it's a really unique trophy. We all know serial killers like trophies. So it's such a unique idea. And I really, really enjoyed that they came up with this. But the dogs, of course, are drawn in this Don Bluth art style from Trish Forstner. And so, of course, you fall in love with each and every one of them, except for Earl, because he's a piece of shit. And basically, they're trying to figure out what to do. I'm not going to go into details because me and Josue aren't going to cry tonight. But long story short, a big thing happens. They make a big discovery, and a big thing happens, and one of our favorite dogs might not make it. We don't know. It's off camera, so I'm holding out hope.
I asked him. Does he find his bone? God.
Maybe he does.
It just lied into my face. I hate doing interviews. we cannot interview people until shit's done, until like the whole project is done.
But then they don't need to promote it. In seriousness, though, we're loving this book. We're just very upset because of the character. So, yeah.
It was just really good. It's like, God.
Yeah. He's going to buy all the other books. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to get the variants, too, as well. Like, I love all those horror movie homages.
Yeah. Next up is Vault comic books.
Yes.
We have 2 books with Vault. I am reading Resident, number 9, which just came out. Quick rundown. Written by David Andre, drawn by Skylar Partridge, colored by Jason Wordy, lettered by Darren Bennett. Now, this isn't a book I've talked about every week, but I did want to go ahead and bring it up because it is coming to a close soon, from what I understand.
Okay.
And I'm really enjoying it. Now, Josue, you read A Resident, right?
I read the first trade, and I was going to trade wait for the second one.
Oh, you're going by trade.
Because it was part of like this one was part of that initial set that I got from Vault.
Oh yeah.
Or from Books of Pictures through Vault. So I was able to read it that way, and I was like, well, it is really good. But then I was also trying to catch up with all the other trades, and it's like, and I knew it was on a break, and then was coming back. So I was going to wait for the trade for this one again.
Gotcha. I'm really enjoying it, and
it was very interesting.
I love the art. The art is really like it's hard to explain, but there's something really epic about it, and there's a lot of what's the word I want to use? Intimate. There's an intimate, personal touch to this book.
Yeah,
that I really, really enjoy, and
also when the horror tries to sink in, it does have this like distortion aspect to just like make the like I don't know how it just vibrates in a way, especially because like the whole buzzing thing it has to let it vibrate. So,
and I know you're not. I know you're not caught up, but I have to just show you the first page.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Not a spoiler, but
she's amazing.
Yeah,
she looks awesome. Cool.
Just a full page spread of her pulling back a bow or an arrow, and I love the arrow doesn't have a head. It's like literally a homemade arrow. Like just little touches like that. I'm really enjoying the book. It's going to be coming to a close soon, and we'll see. There's so much I want to show you, but I can't because you're not caught up, and I don't know what. I don't know how badly you'd be spoiled because I don't know exactly when you left off. So, but yeah, the next issue is the final issue.
So issue 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to be a 10-issue run. And I did confirm that with David Andre when I was speaking with him recently.
So I read up to 5 then. So you'd be giving me nothing but the spoilers for the finale.
Yeah, exactly. The issue beforehand. I can show you the cover too if you want to see it. Ooh, which is really cool. Okay. Yeah. So, really digging it. That's another series from Vault that's coming to an end soon. So, speaking of coming to an end soon from Vault, A Walk with Monsters #5, written by Paul Cornell. Same cover. Art by Sally Cantorino. Colors is Derbala Kelly, and lettering is Andworld. I didn't think this was what was about to happen.
Yeah.
We were left off on kind of a climax, a cliffhanger, and we thought this was the moment that, a big epic decision was going to be made. And in a way it was. Mm-hmm. But it was when the decision wasn't made. And basically, our two main characters are trying to hunt this man who's actually a monster. And she's able to corner him and has a chance and doesn't do it. She gets away. Or she basically leaves. And it's really emotional and hurtful. And we also get some really great flashback scenes of their time together, and gives us more of an idea of the time they've spent together, where a lot of time they've been together, she's been underage. And he's basically like, I'm not going to do this horrible thing you want me to do because that would be technically child abuse.
Yeah.
And then she turns 18. She's like, hey, it's no longer child abuse, basically. And we're not talking anything sexual for anyone not familiar with this book. It's about murdering somebody. So, but yeah, it's just really interesting. And now they're on the run, and I'm pretty sure the next issue is the last issue.
It says concluded.
Yeah, so, and they're on the run from a lot of bad guys that have them completely surrounded and a helicopter overhead. So we'll see. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's really cool. It's a shame it's coming to an end soon.
I know.
But it's going to make room for other books for Nightfall, and Nightfall's been doing a great job. So, Yep. Anything else you wanted to add about it?
No, it was just like really good. It is a penultimate one, so we're kind of saving all the juicy bits for a full review later. But totally. No, but this one, getting like those flashback reveals, like just like it's kind of has been like what we've been thinking of. That's like we get presented with like the girl and this dude who's a monster. And then that's kind of how we followed that story. But the more we get into it, it's just been like kind of flipping. Like this dude has just been kind of like trying to repress his like monster side, and this girl has just been wanting to just unleash something monstrous this whole time.
Yeah.
And then also like I like opening that, like, or where we got left off with like that politician monster looking figure, and then we open up with like those hollowed eyes and the whole the next, you turn the page, and then those two spreads are just like her thinking about. You see her just thinking about it, and like you just see his dialogue, and then her making her decision of not doing it. Just almost like clears that image of the monster, and you finally see the dude's eyes. I like that little change.
Yeah, that was interesting, and it brings me into how much was he actually visually a monster, or was it just the way she saw him? Like, there's a whole question there, and it's not even a question that needs to be answered. You know, it's just like another facet of what's going on. And I really enjoyed that. So.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. All right, we're moving on to the big two.
Oh wait, before we move on, I do want to let you know that we finally looked out, and I was able to secure a Liliana Magic the Gathering cover.
I saw you grab a Magic the Gathering book in the background. I saw the back of it, and I was wondering, what's he doing over there? So that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, finally found it.
That's cool. What'd you think of the book?
Oh, I had to read 25 books, dude. I haven't gotten around to it.
Okay, let me know when you do. So,
I will.
All right, so we're moving on to the big two, or as we like to call them, the big one and the other one.
Yeah.
DC, we're trying our best. Okay, comics are expensive. We have two DC books this week. Josue, talk to me about Superman Red and Blue #2.
Superman Red and Blue #2 is that anthology book that was exactly number 1. It has a lot of stories, so it has a whole bunch of creative teams that I really don't want to go through. It's really cool. I did like this one a lot. The first one I was very, very biased because there was like that Wes Craig story, the artist to Deadly Class, and it became one of my favorite Superman stories, and I want a whole run by him. It's awesome. This one had some really good ones. The ones I really want. The one that stood out was Martha Kent. She's at this diner with these other ladies, and somebody just says something that they shouldn't have, especially to all people of Martha Kent. They pretty much just like say something on the lines of like, "Thank God you were able to adopt," or like something like in the lines of like, "It almost, you don't really count as a real mother," type of thing. And then she literally starts like, yeah. And Martha just like starts going off of just like going like, oh, I was like, let me just say this, if I may, if having one of your own means, and it's just going off of like not being there for them, not taking care of them when they really needed to, knowing or calling them, knowing that they had lunch, literally just like momming them out. And like we all know that who her son is, and they're just like, oh well, of course, like we didn't mean it like that, whatever. And at the end, like Clark shows up, and it's just like a really nice moment. And it made me think that Clark was just like out there in the sky, like probably Supermaning out, and he was probably hearing this conversation. It's like, wait, I hear my mom just like huffing up a little bit. What's going on? It's like, let me just get there before she just like really blows up on them. And then there was another story with Lex, and it's just like him recalling, and it's called Patience, and the whole time he's just like recalling every single failed attempt on him trying to use red kryptonite. You kind of see throughout the ages, and again, and also this book is also done in red and blue. Like there's really no, and I guess in white. But yeah, there was a time he made like a giant mech. The time where I guess Superman couldn't get close to the mech to kill it because of the red kryptonite. So from far away, he just beams the robot and blows him up. There's a time where I guess Lex made a suit for himself, so he knew that Superman wasn't going to kill him, and he made a beam, like a gun that with a beam. It's like, well, now with the farther you get with this red kryptonite beam, the more powerful the red kryptonite is. So Superman just like in a flash, just like zoop, gets in his face and just like plugs the gun hole and makes the gun explode. So from distance to no distance, he figured that shit out. And then the other time was, I guess, like that really silly occurrence when Lex challenged Superman to a boxing fight, and Lex was going to have red kryptonite boxing gloves, and he thought he was going to be able to beat Superman that way, but then didn't realize that Superman also maybe knew how to fight, especially when he already had years of Supermaning under his belt. So he still just kicked his ass. And then just ends with Lex just like calling her assistant, Mrs. Garnet. Yes, Miss Luthor. The container. Yes. Return it. It was like, you know what? Maybe not this time. But yeah, it's Superman Red and Blue. It's a little anthology series. if you look at the back, you're gonna see a list of creative names, and if you like those names, pick it up. You're gonna find a cool little Superman story.
Yeah,
this week was full of anthology stories.
I was gonna say with anthologies, sometimes it's hard for us to give everybody credit.
Yeah,
but we'll try to shout out the ones that really jump out at us as much as we can.
Okay, the ones that
we're gonna be doing that later on. But go on.
The ones that did stood out for sure. Why I got it was Chuck Brown, Jason Howard, Stephanie Phillips was really the main.
Oh,
one.
love Stephanie.
Yeah.
So, all right, our other DC book is. I never got my hands on Nightwing 78, but I did reserve a copy when the reprint comes in tomorrow.
I cannot wait for you to get that one, by the way.
But I did get Nightwing 79 and went ahead and read it. So,
oh, man, God. So this one I got 79, and then I went to the other store to pick up the remaining issues I couldn't find, and then because at the first store I was able to peek at the variant to the last issue, and it was like a really cool one. Mm-hmm. So at the second store I was like I could see that the variant was kind of sticking out for 79. I was like, oh, let me just see it. And I swear to God, I had like that 13-year-old, like I randomly picked out that big titty vampire Ella cover. And I'm like, oh shit, everybody's watching me at that moment. When I got this out,
oh my God,
I literally had half a chub going when I'm like, I'm just going to get it. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to hide it because nobody can see me looking at this for any longer. Dude, this fucking cover.
That's gorgeous.
And especially with what Oracle says later about his overconfidence of wearing the tightest suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. This cover was a must take.
So written by Tom Taylor, drawn by Bruno Redondo, colored by Adriano Lucas, letter by Wes Abbott. So I finally get to jump into this Nightwing book that I've been anticipating basically since Future State started. This is fucking great.
Yeah, dude.
I love it so much.
Especially the first page. Dude, the first page was genius. Making a 24-panel grid and opening it with, I spent my life working without a safety net, and then giving it the illusion that the whole grid is a safety net. Dude, like it was fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. Such a great first page.
Yeah. And the second, third page I really enjoy where like he's depending on his parents. Yes. And it's the Flying Graysons. And then I like my father, and it's Bruce basically being like, get up, bitch. and then my other father, and I'm like, yeah, we all know what that means, and it's Alfred. And then my friends, it's him and the Titans. My brothers, which, hey, look, Jason gets included on his brothers for once. So
I did like that part with my other father when he's like, Alfred, I'm 18 years old, and it's like, yeah, bitch. So you would so what did he say? Yes, so you would think to know how to accept my offer with a thank you by now. It's like, yeah. That's the real father.
It's really good, and it's about Dick Grayson basically trying to do what he can in Bloodhaven, but it's also a ton of Barbara Gordon. And for anyone who's ever listened to this show, you know I fucking love Barbara Gordon. So, and just I love the suit. I love the blue they chose. It just pops,
especially like, so this double
perfectly.
Page.
Yeah,
how they make him look like the old school like panely grid, like to follow the motions. Such a great like page as well.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm definitely subbing to this book now that I got it. So
I was just gonna get that first one just because of like that big ass blue cover, and I was like, maybe I'll get the second issue a shot just to see if I'll stick around with it. It's like, okay, now it was something I've never thought about before, and it's been the only right answer. It wasn't this book. Fuck Bruce Wayne. Fuck Bruce Wayne being the Bruce Wayne to save Gotham. Yep. It was always meant to be Dick Grayson to save Gotham. Like, as in, like, the person, not the mask. Like, Batman can forever fantasize about saving Gotham in his Batman ways, but and he'll never admit that it should be Bruce Wayne. It's Dick Grayson who should be saving Gotham. And I fucking love that.
Agreed. Yeah. I love Dick Grayson. He's great. So love it so much. Mm-hmm. Can't wait to get more of it. And between that and the Robin book coming up, it's like the Bat family's really bouncing back. I'm pretty excited. So next up, we're going to dive deep into the biggest stack of comics I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
Marvel comic books for the week. We have so much, guys. And we have several individual books. So, Josue, yes. I want you to start with your individual books. Please start with Amazing Spider-Man 64 for me, please.
Ooh. Okay. King's Ransom Part 2, Amazing Spider-Man number 64, Legacy 865. Written by Nick Spencer, and artist is still Federico Vincentini. And it's still brewing the story only of Tombstone and Robbie Robertson and their kin that are still together, and it becomes like this whole love triangle square of shit that just should not happen. So in the beginning, we do go back a little bit more on Mordo and Kingpin being able to torture Kindred, and then Norman just super panicky and just like barging in, just being like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Yeah," and Kingpin is like, "I'm doing what I want to do, and there's nothing you can do about it." So yeah, and then the whole Robbie Beetle and like the Robertsons, Beetle and Tombstone, they're pretty much just like in the middle of all this like clusterfuck that's happening, and Spider-Man is just like trying to keep this all together, or at least like trying to like at least like as always not have anybody die. But damn, what is this? 64 issues in. I'm starting to feel the boomerang I love, and I hate myself for it.
He's great.
He is great, but now he's doing but now he is, I guess, being a hero, and he's like, in the end, he leaves Peter a note, and it kind of insinuating that he's like kind of doing like the whole like I'm going off by myself to do like the hero thing. It's a really good note on just like, hey, this whole thing sucks. I'm sorry, this whole thing has been fun. Going after like the tablets with Spidey, being roommates with you guys. He doesn't know Peter Spidey, so he's just talking to Peter. But it's just like, but time and time again, I'm keep hurting like my friends, like with Randy and Gog, Sweet Aunt May. But it's you, Peter. You're the one. You're the last straw. I don't want you to get hurt. So I'm just going off on my own. I'm gonna do this last thing. So I'm like, fuck. If Boomerang dies and I feel it, I'm gonna fucking punch myself. And at the end, there's I guess there's gonna be a new play in town, and I guess Otto Octavius has been back. He went to go look for something at a grave, something that's been empty. But then Kindred, who's still in that Dark Dimension Cube prison, I guess he's still lurking, and he's just been biding his time and waiting until he can actually just move like a piece over. And the next piece is, Otto Octavius. And then coming this July is the Sinister War. And fuck.
Nice. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And especially because like the text is like in this, like the old school like Spider-Man text.
Oh yeah, like the Amazing Spider-Man original.
Yeah. Like so
or the 90s,
the 90s like style. So I'm excited what that all means. It just seems like it'll be more between like the Sinister Six and not so much like Spider-Man versus the Sinister Six again. It's been interesting because Nick Spencer has just been like, he's just been killing with Spider-Man. It's like, thank God I've just been loving this run.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, you want to go for my next solo?
Yeah, your other solo, yeah.
Next solo is... no, it's not my last anthology book of the night. It's Carnage, Black, White, and Blood. I will go through the creative team on this one because it's only three quick stories. It's Donny Cates does the first one with Kyle Holtz and Rochelle Rosenberg. The second one, My Red Hands, is by Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto. So we get like a cool Daredevil reunion for Carnage. And then the last one is by Ron V and Javier Fernandez. So it's really cool to pick up, to listeners, if you've been following the Donny Cates run, Venom run, and you're collecting the whole completionist run for him, you're going to want to pick up Carnage, Red, White, and Blood #2, because the first issue by him is, yes, this is an anthology book, but this really does close off his part of his Carnage run, or at least like for his Carnage story, way back in, was it Venom Island? Before Null was showing up, before Eddie and Brock went to that alternate future, that storyline when they're on Venom Island and Eddie got like possessed by Carnage and he just couldn't move, and they had that whole inner fight, and Dylan was able to control the symbiotes from a distance. at the end of all of that, when Eddie and Dylan were able to get Carnage off of him, that part of this, or at least like destroy most of it, but a little portion fell into the water, and we got left with this cool cliffhanger where like this like, well, I'll just show you. This giant shark got possessed. Yes, it's ridiculous, but this giant shark got possessed by like that little bit of Carnage, and it's just been lurking and dominating the abyss of the waters. It's really awesome. But for in this one, there's these sailors that were just going around, and the shark ends up biting, and it reels at least one person in. So yeah, so he bounces from the shark into this person, and he hops on board, and it's like, yo, I'm Carnage's back, and I'm gonna kill you guys. Except this is also right when Noel died, and the new King in Black emerged. So there's a moment.
Suck it.
Yeah, so suck it. So there's a great fucking moment where Eddie starts like, as in like an omnipotent being, starts like talking to Carnage from like through like the monologue bubbles, and it starts raining down symbiotes. Like it starts raining down, like, you know how it ended, like all the symbiotes going up to the sky. Well, at the end, I guess like Eddie decided to drop when he felt Carnage come back. He decided to just like leave a few behind, or just like to drop some below. It starts raining into the water onto the ship, literally possessing like the other sailors. So it was kind of fucked up. But literally everybody starts turning on Carnage, to where Carnage is like, well, I'll fight you all. And then he just like, they kind of push him off the ship and into the water, to where there was just nothing but venom infested sharks, and they just start eating away at Carnage. And I guess like that's Johnny Cates' way of, I guess, like dealing with Carnage. I'm sure we'll get Carnage back again at one point or another, but this was
he's too popular.
Yeah, but this is Johnny Cage's way of killing Carnage, was through like these sharks, and just like it just goes into the water. But yeah, that was pretty awesome. The next one, holy shit, was really cool and really dark. The Chip Zdarsky and Mark Cicchetto one. It looks gorgeous, by the way. The way that Cicchetto has been killing it with Daredevil, it's like that same standard. Only you're just limited to red, black, and white. This was fucked up. I almost thought it was like Cletus's origins for a second, because it's just like a boy in a very abusive home. Oh, he's like a very abusive father, and all we know is that this boy just can't go inside the barn, or else like daddy gets really mad. But this boy just like has this like monster friend, and you realize that it's Carnage, and Carnage is like the only one that listens to him. He becomes his friend, until one day he finally has the courage to do something about it with the help of Carnage. And then the boy steps out of the house, and with the bloody trail, and since there's no one there to stop him anymore, he finally goes inside the barn. And inside the barn is fucking Spider-Man. It's like, what the fuck? And so Spider-Man is able to be like, oh shit, Cletus, what the fuck to do? Because he's realizing that he's possessing this boy now. And Spider-Man actually delivers a great speech, and the boy is able to like fight off Carnage, and at least like free Spider-Man. That way, Spider-Man can fight off Carnage and free the boy. And you get a cool like lesson where it's just like the boy was just like so in his fucked up emotions, like, or based on his home, that he only just had it out for his stepdad. And then Spider-Man just like, even though he was already feeling all those negative emotions, it wasn't about just like letting loose and taking it out on him too. He just had like the one person that he just actually hated. So it becomes kind of a happy ending. It's like Spider-Man, Carnage go and fuck off and fight it out. And the mom finally is like, at least like, since there's nobody to hold her back, because like they just embrace each other. So it's kind of a happy ending. And then you have the Rom V one, and oof, the Rom V one is like, it was like if Carnage was part of Road to Bones with Rich Duick. It becomes like this super snowy area, and then Carnage is just out there lurking and hunting, and it's just like it starts picking off these people. And at the end, And at the end, it's like he ends up possessing like the last dude surviving, and is able to come back to civilization because he just it's almost like he needed a new body for it. But yeah, the Ron B one who was just crazy. It was like the Gray Road of Bones and add Carnage to that shit, and just like not the type of place you want to be at. It's really cool though. Yeah, that was it for those. It was like 3 quick stories, but really cool.
Nice. All right, I got 2 solo books from Marvel. The first one is Spider-Woman number 11.
Nice.
This book is getting closer and closer to issue 12, and that makes me happy because a lot of people you might not know, for a solo book to hit 12 and continue, that's usually a really good sign.
Oh, for sure.
12 is a good spot to wrap it up if you're thinking about canceling it.
Yeah.
And we don't have any announcements yet, so I'm very excited this is going to continue. So, written by Carla Pacheco, drawn by Perry Perez, colored by Frank Darmata, and lettered by Travis Lanham. So the arc of the first half of the story is over, which was the whole Jessica Drew's dying of a disease. She has to find something. So that's over. This is the first issue back. And it literally says on the cover, great jumping off point. If you know, it's a good place to start. So the costume she was wearing at the time, which looked really cool, was designed for the clones of her mother to track her. So she gets rid of it and she goes back to the good old classic Jessica Drew costume.
Oh, you're talking about
which I've always really liked.
You're talking about the glasses one that she was rocking?
The one with the black one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Well,
So-
I did miss that, the classic suit too.
Yeah, so it's back, and she's like happy and stuff, and she's hanging out with her kid and her boyfriend, and they go on a date. And it's very Spider-Man, this one, where it's like they go on a date, but it's interrupted by a heist, and she has to get in a costume. And he's like, I need to talk to you about something. And she keeps putting it off, being like, oh, yeah, we'll talk later. And we find out in the last issue, he's going to propose.
Oh, damn.
So, but she keeps putting him off, so now he's like sad. So
It's gonna be like,
I'm really, really enjoying this book.
Like, do I even want to marry her? Like, you better. It's fucking Jessica Drew.
Yeah. My other solo book is Star Wars Dr. Aphra, number 9. Written by Alyssa Wong, penciled by Miku Jung, inked by Victor Olazaba, and colored by Rochelle Rosenberg, with Joe Caramagna doing the lettering. I've enjoyed Dr. Aphra to this point. I think this is when it's really taking off for me. This arc is the one that I'm really latching onto and loving.
It's actually developed.
Well, it's not that. I think I got dropped in really deep in the first arc. There were a lot of characters, and the cast is a lot trimmer.
Okay.
And also, I don't know. I just like it. It's a lot more Aphra, like her being herself. So, but basically, yeah, there's this whole race to find this this ancient spaceship engine that lets you do all the crazy things I talked about before, like dropping out of light speed in a planet's atmosphere, things like that.
Ooh, yeah.
Which would basically change the war. And this takes place before Jedi.
Oh, okay.
And by that, I mean before Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So the Empire is still a thing in this. So the Empire is trying to get their hands on it.
Oh, God. If we start referring to Jedi for The Last Jedi, God, fuck no. No.
No, wait, did I say The Last Jedi?
No, you did it, but I'm just saying, because
I meant Return of the Jedi.
If we need to start clarifying as, like, I watched Jedi, and because people are starting to refer to it for The Last Jedi, no.
Oh, no. I made that clarification and make sure you knew I meant not before Jedi existed.
Oh, okay. See, I'll take that. I'll take that for sure.
I would just say the sequel trilogy. So, and shut up, I like the sequel trilogy. So anyways, but yeah, it's pretty cool. It's once again a heist, you know, because she is basically space Asian lesbian Indiana Jones, which is just a bunch of great adjectives with going in front of Indiana Jones. Really enjoying it. Lots of fun characters. I'm really starting to love Just Lucky, which that's his name, Just Lucky. He's really becoming a good character, and I'm really enjoying him. So, yeah, definitely pick it up. It's totally worth a pickup. Now, the rest of these we share, and we will not take too long, I promise. Champions, number 6, written by Danny Lore, making their debut on Champions. Yeah. I love Danny Lore, so I'm very excited. Artist is Luciano Vecchio, colored by Federico Blee, and lettered by Clayton Cowles. This is the only cover they had available, and it's the Heroes Reborn Juggernaut cover.
Oh, I see.
And I'm like, what? Did you get the cover A? Because I'd like to see what it looks like. Oh,
Yeah,
that's so cool.
that's really cool. Especially how, like Nova is just like the only one that's like looking forward. Everybody's like cool pose, but
Yeah.
Nova is just like cool enough to look forward.
Yeah,
Oh no,
that's
who is
cool.
it? No, it's Riri. But it's all about Riri.
Yeah. So basically, this is post outlawed,
Mhm.
even though the law is still in effect, and they're just trying to find their role, and it's building up to a conflict with Roxxon, and Roxxon's in kind of like damage control, and they're trying to make sure that people that basically they can recover from their horrible re-education camps, which only in America can you recover from a re-education camp.
Yeah.
But yeah, great. But no, I'm really enjoying the book. I love the 5 characters that we're focusing on. I love that some of the other champions cycle in and out every once in a while. Just maybe to make a little bit of appearance and stuff, because there's so many of them. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, which is a good thing. I like that we can have like an actual roster.
Yeah. So like Snowguard shows up for like 2 pages in this.
Yeah.
Things like that. So, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm very excited about the new arc. It is them against Roxxon. And we already got a tease that Nova and Miles are going to go undercover with Roxxon as interns, which I think is pretty dope. So, anything else about it?
No, I just enjoyed it coming back to it. Like, yeah, post outlawed, but we're still dealing with it. I like that this one was refocused. At least like with her being like, the shit isn't straight still. Like we're just, if anything, we're falling into the steps of the whole reason why we left the Avengers in the first place and wanted to start Champions. And it's like, she's got a point.
Yeah, definitely. So, next up, The Eternals, number 4. Written by Kieran Gillen, drawn by Asad Ribic, colored by Matt Wilson, lettered by Clayton Cowles. So, with Eternals, I like to always kick it to Josue first and see what he thinks.
Yeah, another one. I was like, God, I need to just like, I did buy the Gaiman Eternals book. I need to fucking get on it so I can actually just understand a little bit of some backstories here and there. Because it's still like, holy shit, I'm just like reading, like I'm just following the fucking pages and panels and just like, I guess like piecing what they tell me what had happened. But still, again, like, but the reason why I'm staying on this book is just like Asad Ribic. Like that dude can just draw my favorite Thanos. He just gets his face right. He just gets his stature just right. It just I love Ribic's Thanos, but still, and also with was it Cersei?
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a Cersei book. It was like, even if she wasn't in the whole thing, she was great in it.
Damn it! Like, what does she see in Tony? Like, can she see me like that? Like, fuck.
She doesn't see it in Tony. He's just convenient. That's the best part.
Can I be convenient for Cersei?
Like, think about it. If you're a hot chick and you want to get information on one of the most powerful superheroes on the planet, Tony's the one you aim for.
Yeah.
You're not going to seduce Captain America. You know what I mean? You're not going to seduce Mr. Fantastic. You're like, hey, I'm moderately attractive. And Tony's like, fuck yeah, you are. So, yeah.
No, but it's still like the whole, like the backstory with Druig and was it with the cons and, but yeah, but then coming back into like the actual climax of this issue with Thanos and coming into like that he was able to teleport into a place that you really can't. And like, now there's the whole other mystery of like, with the regeneration like machine, and now this thing can still happen. And then of course like the cliffhanger with like, I knew that Druig was still up to something here that I don't know much about the Eternals.
Well, the best part is he's still the crafty bad guy without being the one that Thanos is actually working with.
Yeah.
So we still got the mystery going while he can still maintain his character. So, yep, I'm really liking it. Cannot wait for the movie.
Oh,
although, man. I mean, like, I'm really excited about it, but I mean, to be frank, and I guess we should have talked about this at the beginning. That fucking Shang-Chi trailer, bro.
Ooh, yeah. I guess news. There was news.
Holy shit!
The fucking like the pop into like the scissor kick, like, oh god, what a sweet move! And it's just like, how long is this bus scene gonna take? And it's like, I can't wait for it.
It could be the entire movie. I don't care. It's just, I'm just so excited for that. So, but we won't talk about that. We'll talk about that another time. Okay, moving on.
Wait, where do you think this like Eternals book is kind of going? Like kind of four issues in, and we're kind of like going from like character to character. The only thing we kind of really have like a following is like the kind of the stupid sea C story of Icarus just like doing nothing but watching that kid?
I don't know.
Yeah, it seems kind of big, and the infomercials like keep getting bigger of like the history of like, and then like the list of everybody in that other issue. Yeah, Kieran is just like painting something big here, and I'm glad that he got paired up with again Assad Ribic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about it, and the cynic in me knows if there's going to be a big reveal, it's probably going to be somebody that's going to be in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think we can safely say it's not Thena or Icarus. It's probably not Sprite. Because Sprite would be too obvious. We know it's not Droog. It's probably not Cersei. We are going to see Gilgamesh soon. Gilgamesh was an Avenger for a while, by the way. The only ones that were ever Avengers were Gilgamesh and Cersei. So, maybe Makari, because we haven't seen Makari yet. But Makari's like the Flash. Like, Makari's a good person, so it'd be weird. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on to Black Knight: Curse of the Ebony Blade #2.
Oh God!
Show me your cover.
Oh yeah, cover A. Pulling the sword.
I picked this one up
Nice.
because that told me exactly what I needed to know about this issue. So,
only you didn't swear enough.
Well, I mean, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so written by Seisberger and Sergio Davia, inked by Sean Parsons, colored by Reef Prianto, and lettered by Corey Petit. So when we last checked in, Dane Whitman, just came back to life. And he's trying to figure out what the fuck is happening. We get a tease that somebody is using blood magic, and it's going on. I love that Dane is sitting there calmly having dinner with the girl.
Yeah.
And then just freaks the fuck out.
That his hand just keeps pouring and not stopping.
Yeah. It's just wonderful. So it's like, how are we not figuring out? Like, it's just great. And I like that he's like, let's not tell them I'm back to life. You know, make them miss me a little more. Like, you shit. I love that Percy comes in because Percy's hilarious. Percival is the original Black Knight, the one that Dane is descended from. So he comes in as a ghost to coach him, I guess. And I'm really loving this arc already because they're setting up what's going on, and it's all about the things that Percy, when he was becoming the Black Knight, when he Merlin took him and had him cast four items, a sword, a shield, a chalice, and a staff, and they're all made out of the black metal. And first of all, I love the humor of Merlin being like, "You must choose only one, Sir Percy, and I bid thee think carefully upon the." And he'll go, "The sword. I want the sword. The sword, please. Thank you. The sword." Like, I was like, "Yes." Merlin's like, like fucking knights, man. But basically, what we discover the arc that we're going to be having is somebody in the present is trying to gather all the artifacts that were forged at that time, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, somebody that we're kind of led to believe might have been the bad guy, but we realize is actually someone else investigating it, jumps him in a full motorcycle suit, removes the helmet, and that describes my cover, which is Elsa Bloodstone.
Yeah.
Love Elsa Bloodstone.
I love her.
So she shows up, and you have to know that when he said, "Hey, look, we're both Avengers adjacent," you know I love that shit. So yeah, basically he's trying to figure this out, and she's going to be helping him whether he likes it or not. And then they figure out who it was. In the end, they're like, "Who's the bad guy?" It's like, who are you guys talking about? It's like, it's always him. It's always him. And like, it's Mordred. It's always Mordred. So of course it's Mordred, and that's exciting. I got two Arthurian Legend comics going on at the same time, and I could not be more excited about that. So
nice.
I love it. So I'm assuming you liked it too.
I did. I will be knocking points for Elsa Bloodstone not swearing at all. Like, not even one like bleeped out word. Like, she's supposed to be swearing. Like, it's one of the reasons why I fucking love her.
Give it a few issues. She didn't get too much dialogue in this book. So
she doesn't get dialogue anywhere because she's hardly in any book. But when she is, she's constantly swearing.
I know. We'll get it, I'm sure. So.
I need it.
That takes us to another, or a number one, our first number one for Marvel for the week.
Yes.
We're going to start with the Mighty Valkyries, number one.
Did you get another variant?
No, I got to cover one, actually.
Nice.
I saw yours, though. So,
I got the same one.
I thought you got. Oh no, I'm thinking of Women of Marvel. We'll talk about that.
Oh my god.
Okay, so there's two stories in this one: the Jane story and the new Valkyrie story.
I love it so much.
The Jane story is written by Jason Aaron and Torrin Grönbeck, drawn by Mattia de Iulis. There we go. The new Valkyrie story is written by Torrin Grönbeck and drawn by Erica de Urso, colored by Marcio Meniz, and Joe Sabino does the lettering for both. So the first story is absolutely great, and it's about Jane as Valkyrie, and it goes into her life working in the hospital. There's a great scene with her and Doctor Strange that's really funny. And yeah, it's really cool. She gets seduced by this Norwegian like hottie, which is just excellent. And she's like, in the end, she's like, "You want to go back to? Let's go somewhere private." And he's like, "Sure, let's go." And they go outside. She pulls a knife. She's like, "Loki." He's like, "How did you know it was me?" Like, so
like,
it's her and Loki.
Like, you made him too perfect, basically.
And she said, "You have a tell. It's what was it? Godlike insufferableness. You try too hard." Like,
okay,
so we find out.
Hold on. That page with Hela. Damn, does she look fucking awesome?
Oh yeah, totally.
Damn, would she look awesome?
So one of the arcs thing is that Fenris's children are loose in New York City, and they're trying to get Loki. So that's what they're fighting. Loki gives her the chain to chain them up, Gleipnir, which is the one that chained up Fenris in Norse mythology. So that's cool. And then we also get a look at Hati, which is the wolf god.
Yeah.
And Hati is cool. It's one of my more lesser known but really fun Norse characters in mythology.
Nice.
To the point that my friend who wrote a werewolf character at one point named it Hati based on him. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's really cool. And then, okay, the first story is great. I love it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But something major happens in the second story for New Valkyrie, where she pays a lot of money to go see a prophet who answers any questions that you ask. And she goes for, basically it's like a TV show. It's almost like the guy that talks to ghosts kind of shit. And she walks up and she says, "Tell me, what is my name and why am I here?" And everybody's annoyed that she's asked two questions. But the prophet realizes, like, kind of figure out who she is. He's like, "You're here because you made a promise to a woman you loved. And, you know, your name is known to no living thing lost in time and death. I am the one you seek. I am Kvasir, and your name is Runa."
Runa.
It's over. I don't have to call her Tessa Thompson Valkyrie anymore.
It's such a great
We have a name. It's a great name. Yeah.
I love that name so much.
Yeah. And so she's basically going to break the Oracle out. So, Yep. Pretty great. I'm excited about that. So, hopefully the two of them come together and handle everything together. I think we need to get the Runa story to get her past revealed a bit more before they actually start working together.
Yeah.
So.
I thought they were going to make us like wait on it for a while, for like another 2 issues maybe.
Me too. I was going to complain every issue, but no, in all seriousness, I absolutely love it. So, all right. Next up, a Women of Marvel number 1. So this is another series of stories, all about the Women of Marvel, and so there's a bunch of small stories in here. First of all, those are
the best ones.
Yeah. First of all, Sway, what cover did you get?
I got the super dope magic one.
Nice. I'm looking to see if my artist is even listed in the back or anything like that. Nope, they don't have the variant covers. I got this one.
Yeah, that's the first one I saw. It was really cool, and then I kept looking at the other ones. I want to see like the cover A, and it's like I should just get a cover A because it is gonna be an anthology book anyway. But then I saw the magic one, and I started looking at her, and it's like they always draw magic as like really skinny, really petite, even though she can like actually kick ass. But then you just look at those arms.
Yeah.
You just look at those thighs and how like this is just it's just a muscle magic. And I was like, okay, I'm getting this one. She looks fucking awesome.
Yeah. So there's so many stories in here. What I want to do is I want to do quick fire with you.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk too much about any one story. We'll give our quick impressions. I do want to run the creative teams down though as we go. So
okay.
First thing I want to talk about, the introduction by Louise Simonson.
Oh my
Did
god.
You read it?
So fucking good too.
I almost cried again, dude. Every time she does something, I want to cry because I just love her so much. So, all right. So, first story. We got a Lady Deathstrike story called Manny because she gets a manicure by Mariko Tamaki and Peach Momoko, and I want to see them do more shit together.
Adorable. I loved it.
It was great, right?
Especially at the end. Now just I need to get my keys out, and all the nails are just bedazzled. Great.
Operation Spyglass, a Peggy Carter story in the alternate universe where she is she's Captain Britain, I guess technically, by Elsa Schonson, Naomi Franquise, and Brittany Peer. What do you think?
Really cool. The end question mark makes me wonder if they'll continue it in the Marvel's What If, even though it's supposed to be part of the MCU What If, but it's also like the same thing anyway.
It's also one of the longer stories in this. So. Well, you know I loved this one, but she's got the look with Mariko Tamaki and Nina Vaqueva. Emma Frost, one page where she decides she doesn't have to dress up because she's psychic and she can make people think that she's dressed up.
I've known that she can do this from Old Man Logan when she actually looks like aged but still fabulous, but she still says like, Logan, how like I make you think like what you think you're looking at. How do you think I really like? How old do you think I really look at, or something like that? And yeah, like the fact that she's just been doing this her whole life is believable.
Yeah. Cretaceous Flirtations. Natasha Alterici, Joanna Estep, and Irma Nivelle. This is Rogue young Rogue and Mystique basically is watching Rogue to make sure, she's checking out a boy. What'd you think?
You do realize that it was Laura Dern and Sam Neill, right?
Fucking hell, I just did.
I was like, this is so fucking great. They're in Jurassic Park.
I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice it was Laura Dern. That's great. Oh, God. I really enjoyed it, though. I like little fun things. I thought it was hilarious
just because of that. Yeah.
Okay, this one caught me off guard how much I loved it. Good Hair by Mariko Tamaki, Rachel Stott, and Rochelle Rosenberg. Medusa is trying to work and her hair is in the way. And she reveals the ultimate power of every woman knows is a scrunchie.
Yep.
And she uses a scrunchie to tie it up. My favorite bit about this is all the shit in her hair in the first two panels.
The cat.
There's an actual cat in her hair. Like that's so great.
This one was my favorite just because it's velvet. Yeah, I don't like them either, but they're effective. It's because relatable.
Yeah, I hear you. I had long hair too. So. Saturday Morning in Harlem by Ann Toole, Kay Zama, and Ruth Redmond. This one is Misty Knight, and it is another one of the longer ones where she's backed up by the Daughters of Liberty, including Echo, and I love Echo, so that was a lot of fun.
Who's Iron Patriot right now?
I don't know who that's supposed to be.
Yeah, like they don't show it, but it's like I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, me neither. So then, Wild Roy. No, wait. Yeah, it's next. Wild Rhino Chase. Nadia Shamas, Skylar Partridge, Triona Farrell, and it is a She-Hulk story. I loved this one. This is probably my favorite.
Oh, nice. Really?
If I had to pick, this would be my favorite. Where She-Hulk fights Rhino in a museum. I like the little girl, like She-Hulk, and I love the way they draw She-Hulk where she's actually big. Like not skinny but strong. Like I hate that look. So yeah. Water When Needs Watering by Mariko Tamaki, Marika Cresta, and Rochelle Rosenberg. Jean Grey tries to keep a plant alive.
And it's just so bad at it.
It's just incredibly bad at it. You know what? Actually, I'm going to withdraw my She-Hulk comment. It's not my favorite. Because we're moving on to Give a Cat a Bone.
Oh my God.
Sophie Campbell, Eleonora Carlini, and Triona Farrell.
Bone is going to be in the X-Men. Or Marrow's going to be in the X-Men. I'm calling it.
So, Marrow and Farrell on Krakoa. Farrell just got brought back to life, which is interesting because I think last time we saw her, she was a bad guy. But basically, they're basically roommates, and they don't get along and they have a fist fight. And then later people are making fun of Farrell, and Marrow finds out, yeah, she's a former Morlock just like you, and she's like, get the fuck off her. She's my friend now, basically. So that was probably my favorite.
I love that when she just like when Marrow Farrell's out, I love that she gets like that bone structure differently. And just like she's got
that was a change they made. I think Sage awakened her secondary mutation.
Nice.
Because she used to be able to just pull out bone knives, basically.
Okay.
But now she like hulks out basically with bones. So yeah.
She's gotta be in the X-Men. Gotta be.
I love her. She needs to be in something. So the Goddess of Death sleeps tonight. Mariko Tamaki, June Brigman, Roy Richardson, Rochelle Rosenberg. This is a one-page story where Hela reads about a weighted blanket and then just has Fenrir lay on her to keep her warm. So I'm like, yes, that's good. Then we get Date Night with Zoraida Cordova, Maria Froelich, and Rochelle Rosenberg. This is a Gamora story where she poses in a bachelorette kind of style thing in order to catch a bad guy, basically. So
I like that they kind of purposely also made him look. It was like a douchey version of Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Like it was like the color scheme. He had blonde hair and just happened to have a beard, but just not the same color as the blonde. But yeah.
Overall, I really enjoyed that.
Oh, it was
a lot of fun. Yeah, it wasn't too serious. Like, you know, it was just a lot of fun.
Like when the Medusa one's my favorite. Fuck yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy the ride. And again, so I want to bring this up before we moved on. The Louis Simonson bit in the beginning, just again, like the reason, like one of the like at least part of why I got happened on Twitter from the last time is how awesome is she that she just gave a little excerpt of why she just happens to be important to Marvel and why they chose her to do the introduction. Because even Marvel was like, yo, you didn't do enough. Let us, like the little editor's note at the bottom. Hey, Louis Simonson is also in charge. Was also in charge of X Factor, New Mutants, and Superman: The Man of Steel. Because like she's just too awesome, too fucking good to just like say why she was important. She just wanted to give a shout out to everything else that was going on. So
she talked about the other women, the women that came slightly before her. So she wasn't just like, oh, this is what I did. She literally was like, no, I made Power Pack. It was cool. And that was pretty much it. And
that was it. But it was just like, I mean, I would. She did.
You're the queen of comics, Louise.
Exactly. She didn't.
Come on, Wheezy.
Yeah. So shout out to Louise Simonson for just being super fucking badass.
She's the best. So that brings us to our X-Men books of the week.
Oh, baby.
X-Force, number 19.
Nice.
Written by Benjamin Percy, drawn by Gary Brown, colored by Guru, and letter by Joe Caramagna.
Really cool cover.
Yeah, really cool cover. I'm really digging it. So this is the continued story of Quentin Quire. And man, has he just grown in 2 years.
Okay, wait. Cyclops' sleeping mask of
oh my god,
quartz.
Thank you, because I when I saw it, I'm like, well, I'm bringing that up, and then I forgot, and I'm glad you did. Like, it's just amazing. Just so good. Yeah, I really like Quentin's glasses that he makes for himself.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's a really cool move. And basically, they're trying to find out what's going on, like who's corrupting all the minds of the X-Men and things like that. And it's what we gathered. It was the clone of Quentin Quire.
Mm-hmm.
And he has none of Quentin's like control or training or anything like that. So he's just raw psychic force, basically. Oof. And yeah, it was just really cool. It's a really great action scene. And they end up, obviously saving the day in the end and stopping him. Quentin ends up winning in the head, which really is awesome.
Yeah.
So, and then we get to see Quentin and Sophie kiss, and that's nice, and everything seems to be okay. Obviously, Xena will come back, because they keep doing this shit. But yeah, I really loved Sage, because I fucking love Sage, and not enough people like Sage because she was obviously introduced way back in the Claremont run, way back in the day as Tessa.
Okay.
But she was introduced as Sage during Extreme X-Men, which a lot of people shit on, but was actually one of my favorite X-Men runs ever.
Oh, yeah.
With where they introduced Thunderbird, the one from India.
I mean, and Gay Wolverine, right?
Huh?
Was that there? Was Extreme X-Men the Gay Wolverine with Hercules?
No.
What bit is that? And Wolverine has like the gold claws.
I think you're talking about Exiles.
Is it? Okay, I'll figure it out.
Exiles is all alternate reality.
Okay, and it was, but okay.
No, Extreme X-Men is in X-Men. It was one of the X-Men arcs,
Nice.
and it had Beast and Sage and Storm, and I want to say Rogue and Gambit, but I can't remember off the top of my head. And then they introduced Thunderbird, Neil Shara, who is like a flame-controlling mutant from India.
Yeah.
And then they introduced brother and sisters, Slipstream and Lifeguard, who are low-key two of my favorite mutants in Marvel, and they've done nothing with because the fans hated them. I don't know what happened, but the fans just fucking hated them, and I love them because you find out later on that they are Shi'ar. They're actually Shi'ar blooded.
Oh,
and no one knows. So they're half human, half Shi'ar, and it's this whole arc, and then it got dropped because everybody hated it. I'm like, what's wrong with you people? So, anyways, but Sage is great. Sage, one of her biggest things is she can activate secondary mutations. So if you have a latent secondary mutation, she can actually make it happen. That's why Beast became a cat beast instead of a monkey beast.
Well, she's fucking awesome then.
She's great. She's so great, and yeah, it's just such a great character. All right, next one, Sword number 5.
Sword.
Written by Al Ewing, drawn by Valeria Shiti, color by Marte Gracia, and letter by Ariana Mayer. So this is the immediate aftermath of King of Black. And I had a worry as this started because Fabian Cortez is on the cover.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, we need to meet with Fabian Cortez. He saved the day. And I'm like, fuck you, Fabian Cortez, my least favorite mutant. And this fucking monumental dumbass, Fabian Cortez, he gets resurrected, and first of all, Jean Grey has no respect for him whatsoever. Doesn't give him clothes. He's butt naked. He's like, can I get a shower? She's like, nah. And then he's like, isn't there like the ceremony, the reaffirmation, the crowd shouting my name? She's like, no, we're not doing that. Come on, let's go talk to the council. She drags him in front of the council, butt naked. And then Peeper shows up, and everybody's like, Peeper! Like it's Norm from Cheers. Like, it was just great. They're like, Peeper! And Magneto's like, there's my best friend. Cortez is like, what the fuck?
Magneto's whole demeanor. He just becomes this whole other person as soon as Peeper shows up. I love it. It's happened twice, like in the beginning of Sword, and now again. And it's like, this is my favorite Magneto. I love when he's like all serious and a good guy and just like holier than thou. But like, this is my favorite Magneto, and I want a run. I want a fucking buddy cop run of Peepers and Magneto going around Krakoa.
Yeah. So basically, Fabian has a chance to speak in front of the council. And his pitch is, we should be able to murder human beings. Basically, he spent several pages making this argument. And they're all like, denied. Next, basically, because it's a stupid fucking prospect. And basically, they talk about, when we killed to defend ourselves, that's fine. It's like, but murder is bad. You understand that, right? You asshole. Like, and the best part is, Fabian Cortez is like, they just don't like me.
What's his power?
He can generate energy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he was very important. So he's basically like, I'm the future of Krakoa. You need me. I know that you need me up in the sword thing. Like, I can't, it can't work without me. You need me to generate energy. And then shit on Fabian Day because Cora of the Burning Heart from Arico shows up, and she's like, oh yeah, I got your power, by the way. she's like, I'll do it from now on. He's like, what the fuck? So basically, he gets replaced, and then the meeting's adjourned, and Fabian's standing there naked as they all walk off. Excellent. Yeah. Also, I love that Charles and Amelia Vogt are flirting again. I loved that relationship. That was fun. So,
no, it was. I'll go for it.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I was gonna talk about a little bit about the book if you want to finish up.
I was just gonna say, and then the background of all this was the Snark War, where the Snark people are fighting to see who the new leader is going to be, and we find out that Sword is influencing which one's going to win, so that the winner would owe them, and then also because the Snark War, there's a lot of collateral damage, so it's better to just end it as quickly as possible and save as many lives as possible. So, but it also involves assassinating people, which is kind of like, And then it goes into a bunch of questions of like, when we say kill no man, does that include aliens? You know,
Right.
stuff
It's
like
like we're
that.
still doing clandestine shit, which is still like in the name of, and which is it's still the same. So, the part that I really liked, again, like going off of Peepers, I like that Peepers was just like bringing up the point. It's like, so Cortez, like, what is your mutant name? The whole point is like either to make him like drag him down the mud more, or just like to have that moment where it's like, well, at least I look better than you now, or at least for this point. But still, it was an important question to ask. And then Cortez just being like, no, fuck that shit. I am Cortez. Like, but anyway, another thing I want to know is what goes into the deciding process, or is it really, or is it Hickman just being like, yeah, costumes don't matter. It's open range. You can just go with whatever costumes you want as you're writing the book. Because Jean has gone through like a cycle of all of her suits, and this one was one of the newest ones. And then Magneto, he's been killing it with the white suit, and now he goes back to retro villain, like purple red. I was like, I want to know if there's like a deciding process, like to what colors or what suits that they get to use.
I think when it's like when there's things that are timely with each other, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't nailed down like the same day as something else. I don't think it really matters, to be honest. So, yeah. All right, which brings us to our last book, which is a combination of several things we love. A number one and an X-Men book.
Yeah.
And Josue,
I had to get two.
I got A, I got B.
Nice.
And I got C.
Ooh, that was a good one too.
The Way of X, number one. Now, here's the thing. We're going to talk about this book, but it's going to be hard. So, written by Cy Spurrier, artist is Bob Quinn, coloring by Java Tartaglia, and lettered by Clayton Cowles. So, this book centers around Nightcrawler and his unease about what's going on in the world of X-Men. And obviously he's always been a religious person, and a lot of this is starting to like creep into his conscience, if you will.
Yeah.
And we see him on a mission right off the bat, and I loved it because
did you?
because he's with two of my favorite X-Men, period.
Yeah, I figured.
And several characters that don't get enough love. Two of my favorite X-Men, period, are Blink.
Yep.
And Loa.
Yeah.
Loa, baby. Yeah, probably my favorite X-Men that gets no love.
That was some love, yeah.
Also, DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Are you intrigued by DJ yet?
Yeah.
Like, DJ has different powers depending on what music he listens to, just so you guys know. So it's really cool. So he's like desperately trying to switch to Tchaikovsky so he can generate like shields and stuff like that. So also Pixie, who is great. So really great story. They go on a mission, and there's like this whole thing where they're like basically teasing Pixie because she hasn't died and been resurrected yet, but almost like she's a virgin, basically.
Yeah.
Which is really weird and twisted.
I know. Yeah, this book was very interesting.
Yeah. And then in the mission to save everybody, she sacrifices herself and dies. And Kurt's like, whoa, no. And they're like, no, it's fine. She'll come back. And this is the first time I've been kind of like, they are being awfully cavalier about this resurrection thing, you know, like it's kind of interesting. And it's obvious why Kurt is uncomfortable with it. And as we go through it, he talks to various people in different parts about it, about what's going on and stuff. He witnesses Exodus, giving one of his little sermons, you know, brainwashing the children basically against Wanda. And
yeah,
and he runs into.
I didn't know that was gonna be a thing before every Crucible. We're just like, let's all just gather around and talk shit about Wanda.
And then we get to see Dr. Nemesis, who I love again. So we got to see him, find out he's the one that came up with the medicines, and he's growing mushrooms on his head.
Dude,
so
that was a trip.
Then we get to see the Crucible. Now, this is a new mutant that we don't know yet. And they had run into Kurt previously earlier in the issue, was like, please help me, I'm lost. And Kurt's like, oh, go over there, they'll talk to you, and leaves. Well, what he found out is that this person wanted to face Kurt in the Crucible because he's one of the gentle ones, and the fact that he wouldn't actually hurt them, he wouldn't torture them, he would just make it as painless as possible. Then you find out when the Crucible happens, this person has to fight Magneto, and they're basically come face to face with Kurt the entire time, and it's just like, why'd you send me away? And of course, Kurt has really horrible Catholic guilt about it, and that person gets reborn, and they get their powers back, and it's just really interesting. And throughout this entire thing, there are people talking about a creature in the background that's like a boogeyman, basically, in Krakoa.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called the Patchwork Man, and I was kind of like, fuck, who's this going to be? And I was trying to figure it out. And Xavier basically asked Kurt to try to figure out what's going on here. He's like, because basically you're the nicest one of all of us. And it ends with Kurt at Blindfold's grave. And we know that the X-Men don't allow precogs anymore.
Yeah.
They won't resurrect Destiny. Well, Blindfold's dead. I don't remember Blindfold dying. And so they're basically saying that she killed herself. And I'm like, did she? Because it would ruin a lot of plans if she was alive.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe she did kill herself because she saw the future and realized someone was going to kill her if she didn't.
Yeah.
So this is the first time we're getting a real something dark is going on in the X-Men vibe, which me and Josue have been kind of hinting at since this all happened, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nightcrawler's at her grave, and he gets jumped by none other than Legion.
Yeah.
This was a great book. I am hooked 100%. It was so philosophical and made me think way too much.
Dude, I mean, it was just like multiple questions that we've been waiting on, and we've been asking, and it was just like, always like been interested on, like they tease like, or Kurt's like, oh, I'll start my own religion, and you realize like, fuck, that's a lot of pressure. It's not as easy as just saying I'm gonna start a new mutant religion. And then we were talking about, well, how is all of this new religion aspect of mutant culture affecting Kurt? And it's like, cool, we get an update on that, and then how brutal the Crucible is, and that's its own thing and issue, as awesome as it was with Arrow, but it's still pretty brutal. And it's like, yes, it's a pretty heavy topic. And I just love that it was still going to be a very Nightcrawler book, because he's really been one of the few that have just been like, it hasn't been like a huge spotlight on him, and especially get like a huge update on everything that's been happening. It's like we finally get like an insight on him, and it's just been getting really weird.
Yeah, and I hope it leads to, again, more highlights of X-Men that aren't being used in other books, because there's so many of them now.
Mm-hmm.
And between this and X-Corp, because X-Corp, we found out that we already knew that Monet and Angel are going to be involved, but apparently Madrox is going to be majorly involved. So,
oh no shit, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, one of the covers was just revealed, and it's Madrox all over it.
That's awesome.
And so, I was kind of like, yes, like that's my boy. So, but yeah, I mean, honestly, every X-Men could probably have a solo book, and I'd probably read every one of them. So, that's how much of an addict I am.
Around this point, this era of X-Men, fuck yeah. I'm really close to finishing my pieces of the first wave of Hoxpox or of Dawn of X.
Oh yeah,
I'm like of Dawn of X. So I'm excited to just have this whole run of X books as well.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's everything we got. Josue, you have anything else before we go?
Apparently Amelia Clark is going to be a super scroll, a scroll, but that's it.
We don't even know if she's going to be a scroll. They haven't confirmed anything. People are... I saw people reporting with she has joined the cast, and then I'd read the article and be like, rumors say, and I'm like,
yeah. And that's what I saved at the end. I didn't want to even bring it up in the beginning.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it is what it is. So, but yeah, pretty excited. If you have not seen the Shang-Chi trailer, please watch it. Watch it like 600 times.
Yes.
The song is great. And apparently it's an unreleased song. It's an original song, so it'll be released on the soundtrack.
Nice.
And I really enjoyed it. So
it was awesome. I keep watching it over and over. And somebody made a good point on Twitter where it's just like, thank God, or the fact that it was so good that they didn't have to have a splashy MCU cameo to just reel you in. It was just good on its own.
Yep. Yeah. Simu Liu is a legend. He's going to be such a star. I'm very excited.
I'm so excited for this movie.
Yep. So thank you so much for joining us on We Have Issues. As always, we really appreciate you guys joining us. You can check us out on social media at WHI Podcast. You can check me out at WHI Podcast Keith, our producer Liz at WHI Podcast Liz, Josue at Josue Reads Josue. Check out our partner show, Jukebox Vertigo, where we build a playlist every 2 weeks based on randomized categories. Our next one is songs you had to Shazam or SoundCloud or whatever you use. I use Shazam. So it should be a really great one, and I'm really excited to get to it. And keep an eye out on the Twitter for that, which is at Jukebox Vertigo as well. We will be posting things, asking you questions. We want your guys' opinions and things like that, so make sure to give us a follow. But as always, we thank you for joining us on this new Comic Book Day review, and don't forget to geek out.
This concludes our broadcast. Beep.